This wasn't supposed to surface, not in public, not on record. It wasn't a weapons deal. It wasn't an arms race. It was a document circulated quietly between defense offices in Berlin, Brussels, and Paris. Its title was Future Integrated Defense Framework, Phase 4. That phrase alone changed the tone inside NATO overnight. Because in German defense planning, Phase 4 means deployment. No prototype, no theory. This isn't an idea, it's live. So what is Germany building? Not a tank, not a fighter jet, not a new missile. It's something bigger, a command system. Not just a tool of war, but the entire architecture through which wars are now coordinated. Internally, it is called Schildnetz, Shield Network. One chain of command, one interface, milliseconds from satellite sensor to battlefield action, no delays, no committees, no waiting for allies. That's the real shift. Schildnetz isn't about firepower, it's about control. It fuses Germany's cyber forces, battlefield logistics, autonomous drones, and surveillance satellites into a single AI-assisted network. Think of it as Europe's military brain, except it's not plugged into NATO. And that's the part that set off alarm bells. For decades, Europe's warfighting structure ran through systems led by the United States, especially NATO's Link 16. Schildnetz breaks that pattern. It runs on German-authored protocols. That means if a war breaks out and Schildnetz goes live, Germany isn't a participant, it's the coordinator. And United States forces operating nearby? They would become dependent nodes, not leaders. What if decisions in Europe weren't made in Washington anymore? What if war moved faster than debate? And what if Germany already built the system that makes that happen? Because that is exactly what this is, not an arms upgrade, a sovereignty upgrade. A leaked NATO memo summarized it like this: this isn't modernization, this is replacement. Germany is building the nervous system of a post-American battlefield. That memo never made it into any press conference, but behind closed doors, it changed everything. 3 sites across Germany form the backbone of Schildnetz. Bonn-Hartberg, home to Germany's cyber warfare simulation and penetration testing labs, Ulm, a multinational command facility, quietly repurposed for German-only decision testing. An Alpine site in Bavaria, a fortified underground AI training facility designed to survive orbital satellite denial and nuclear electromagnetic pulses. Let that last part sink in. Germany is preparing to command in a world where United States satellites are down. In classified war games, one question was tested: if European communications go down, who leads? Schildnetz answered that in milliseconds. German formations achieved full operational dominance in under 36 hours, faster than any United States-led NATO drill on record. Washington was not invited to the exercise. This is how global leadership fades, not with a headline, not with an attack, but with a missed handoff. A retired United States command planner said it bluntly: if their system works as advertised, we are not the quarterback anymore. We are the wide receiver waiting for the signal. And Schildnetz doesn't collapse. But here's the real concern. Because under Schildnetz, there is a second system. It doesn't fight, it doesn't command, it predicts, washed. The AI that sees conflict before it begins, and that's where things get dangerous. Schildnetz fused their warfighting into one digital brain. But underneath that, there is something far more powerful. Something that doesn't wait for conflict, it sees it coming. Internally, it's called Project Wacht, and its name means sentinel. Not a weapon, not a network, a predictor. If Schildnetz is the nervous system, Wacht is the subconscious. An AI built to detect when war becomes mathematically inevitable, before missiles move, before alliances respond, before politicians even admit it is possible. What if decisions were made before you knew there was a decision to make? What if war didn't begin with action, but with a prediction? That's the line Wacht crosses, quietly, clinically, with zero fanfare. Wacht-T doesn't use battlefield footage. It doesn't rely on troop movement or radar pings. It watches the edges, signals most intelligence agencies don't even monitor. According to leaked documents, it ingests financial anomalies, energy grid, micro instabilities, BAS, logistics flow deviations, social media sentiment clustering, metadata from encrypted communications, satellite non-events, activity that should be happening but isn't. This isn't about targets, it's about tension. Civilizational telemetry. A German defense researcher described it this way. Wacht doesn't ask what the enemy is doing, it asks what they are about to realize they have to do. That is not surveillance, that is anticipation. And it changes everything. Because now, the question isn't how fast can we respond. It is, do we act before the other side even knows they've escalated? In an internal EU exercise last year, never shared publicly, Wacht was tested. The scenario: a quiet energy crisis, limited cyber disruptions, market instability. Human analysts predicted escalation in 2 to 3 weeks. Wacht predicted escalation in 72 hours. Wacht was right. The situation did not go kinetic. But infrastructure, markets, and political unity all collapsed on the exact timeline Wacht predicted. The exercise report? Sanitized. The AI's involvement? Removed. Here is the quiet threat. If Germany's AI knows when escalation is inevitable, who gets to act first? More importantly, who gets to delay? Because once inevitability is flagged, shield nets can be activated, troops can move, alliances can shift. Before the world has even agreed there is a threat. For the US, this flips the table. American military dominance relied on reacting faster than anyone else. But Wacht does not react. It preempts. The Pentagon fights wars as events. Germany now treats war as a phase shift. You do not see the change until it is over. So where did Wacht learn this? Not theory, not war stories, failures. Leaked notes say it was trained on moments when leadership missed the warning signs. The fall of the USSR, the Arab Spring, the 2008 crash, signals before 2014 in Ukraine, Cold War near-miss events. One internal note says model accuracy increases when trained on blindness. That includes American blindness. This is the second quiet collapse, not of firepower, not of alliances, of prediction. Because once Wacht identifies inevitability, Germany does not wait, it moves. And the US, it is informed after the fact, not overridden, just bypassed. Germany built a system to move faster than the US, then it built a system to predict when movement was necessary. But one question remained: what if someone tried to stop it? That's where the third system comes in. It doesn't launch missiles, it doesn't jam satellites, it delays decisions. Grauzone. Grauzone isn't a weapon, it's a constraint engine. It is designed to slow down foreign deployment, blur lines of legal authority, fragment alliance responses, and create just enough uncertainty to win without confrontation. It's not warfighting, it's war shaping. Unlike shield nets and Wacht, Grauzone doesn't live in German bunkers. It lives in commercial satellite leasing deals, civilian cloud infrastructure, legal pre-clearances filed in EU courts, redundant data centers in neutral-aligned countries, and persistent access inside telecoms and logistics networks. It's everywhere and nowhere. One NATO legal officer summed it up like this: by the time you argue legality, the operational window is already closed. Here is how this plays out in real-world scenarios. The US tries to deploy heavy forces, but basing rights are caught in legal ambiguity, and EU consensus stalls. Satellite channels are rerouted. Meanwhile, German-led formations are already stabilizing the conflict. Washington didn't lose the war. Washington missed it. This is power without permission. Control without confrontation. What if escalation started and the US was not told? What if decisions that used to flow through NATO now happen on Germany's timeline? This isn't about betrayal, it's about bypass, and Grauzone ensures it stays that way. Earlier this year, a classified US wargame tested a scenario. Communications were degraded. Legal ambiguity slowed alliance response. US heavy forces arrived after the decisive window had passed. The result was, we didn't lose. We were too late to matter. That line was redacted from the final summary. But inside the Pentagon, it landed like a warning shot. This isn't aggression, it's calculation. Germany sees three things: US attention pulled toward the Pacific, NATO growing politically fragile, crises accelerating faster than bureaucracy can handle. So Germany built a system that does not wait,
Not for DC, not for Brussels, not for public consensus. Now here's the twist. Grauzone doesn't stop at Europe. According to classified EU foresight notes, Germany is now exploring ties to non-European command centers, cross-theater escalation forecasting, legal frameworks designed to predict when America cannot lead. It is not about conquering territory, it is about deciding who sets the tempo. This is not war in the traditional sense. It is system design. Germany is not just preparing to defend itself, it is preparing to decide when conflict begins and who gets told after the fact. So here's the final question. If war becomes inevitable, who decides when it starts? If it's Schildnetz, if it's washed, if it's Grauzone? The answer might no longer be Washington. And remember, this system is not finished, it is still evolving. And the next phase? It does not just involve Europe. It changes who sees inevitability first, globally. That update has not leaked yet, but when it does, you'll want to be watching.